Good morning and welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. I'm Brian Moritz. Today we're going to do this video a little bit different. I'm standing here with Joe Snyder from Freightliner Custom Chassis Corporation. We're going to be walking you through some of the chassis features of a Newmar Dutch Star 4369. So, Joe, we'll go ahead and just let you kind of start.
Yeah, so appreciate Transwest for really doing a good job in the industry and sharing about the coaches. And again, today we're talking about a Newmar Dutch Star. So Freightliner builds chassis for Newmar. In particular, right behind me, I'll just get started, is what we have here is an independent front suspension. Now, it's really hard to see right here, but the independent front suspension actually turns up to 60 degrees. And in this case, around 56, 57 degrees. And the importance of that for our customers is the tighter the wheel cut, the less backing up our customers have to do. So we know that 90% of the accidents out there happen the 1% of the time our customers are backing up. If we can eliminate that with a really tight turning radius up front, then we can do something really special for our customers. Now, I love RVers, especially Class A RVers. They are what I call dream achievers. If you can afford a new coach like this, that didn't happen by accident. So whenever I see a Class A diesel going around down the road, I say, I can literally see a dream achieved as it's going down the road. So we really put a lot of extra effort and work into building a great chassis for you. Something you might not know about Freightliner Custom Chassis is our parent company is Daimler. So Daimler is the parent company of Mercedes-Benz, Freightliner Trucks, Freightliner Custom Chassis, Western Star, Detroit, Thomas Built Buses, Alliance Parts, and a slew of other companies out there. And I just want to make that point because when we're looking at this independent front suspension up here, that actually was the parent company of ZF, which is a ZF independent front suspension, is Rolls-Royce. So we use very high quality components. So when you think about some of the buses, even here at Transwest, they have some very high-end Prevost style buses. What axle do they use and suspension do they use? ZF independent front suspension. So it's the same that you're going to get here on the Dutch Star. Look how tall this tire is as well. It's a very tall tire. I always like to say that the suspension starts with the tire. So the more rubber that you have between you and the road, the better ride you can get. And also, these tires can take a lot of pressure. So if you overinflate your tires, you may not get that ride quality that we built for you to have. So make sure that you weigh your coaches and then go to the tire inside the tire booklet in the back. It'll show you exactly how much pressure to put in your tires based on the weights. And we have more information on that at Freightliner Custom Chassis. So if you look at fccrv.com, we have some information there for you. I'm also going to mention some links along the way that we're going to add to the bottom of this video, so you can click on those too. So, yeah.
Should we look back here at the frame rails just a little bit?
Yeah, that's an interesting part. You know, when you think about the chassis, a lot of times you're thinking about the frame rails, and so if you look down in here, you can see these two rails going across, or you can see one from this side, and we call this a raised rail chassis. Now, raised rail chassis is probably the most common chassis in our industry, but that's what's going to give you all this pass-through space from one side to the other. And they put these nice pull-outs on here so you don't have to actually get underneath your coach. This is a really nice coach. And as you look in here, also I want to point out this part right here, and I got my hand on it, right? See how big around and beefy that is. This is a foundation that's added to our chassis, and that gives you extra strength. So instead of just having two frame rails going down the center of the coach, right, we have a platform that goes to the outside. And that platform to the outside, it's holding the floor, but it's also protecting your slide outs, protecting your plumbing, protecting all the electronics. Everything inside the coach is protecting it, giving you a nice solid platform from side to side, but also from front to back. So some of the things I really feel like are important to the RV industry is having a strong foundation, and that's exactly what they call this. They call it the strong, true, and robust, what is it?
Foundation.
Yeah, strong, true, and robust. So that stands for STAR, right? So when you hear them talk about STAR Foundation, that's really what they want to talk to you about. Now, if we add all of that strength up here and to the this rear axle back here called Remember what that's called? The suspension back here?
V-Ride.
V-Ride suspension, that's right. So V-Ride suspension gives you a lot of extra stability from side to side as you're going down the road, okay? And when you
Joe,
consider...
instead of doing it like this, should we just show them what V-Ride looks like?
How can we do that?
Follow me.
No way. Yeah, I think we got something special happening here.
So
surprise me?
I got a surprise for you. So one of the things that sets Transwest apart from other dealerships across the nation is we are a full-fledged Freightliner dealership on top of being a Newmar dealership or any other coach that uses a Freightliner custom chassis. So here in the shop on this nice drive-on lift, we've got another 2021 Newmar Dutch Star 4369. We got it sitting, I'm 6 feet tall and I can walk under it, so we got it sitting about 6.5 feet in the air. So
nice.
Why don't we look at the front axle and the rear axles and how it's all put together from underneath.
Wow, this is, I haven't been able to do a walk around on a coach like this before at a dealership. So you guys really know how to do this. Wow.
And honestly, I would bet a lot of our viewers have never seen the underside of a motorhome.
No, I'm sure they haven't. I'm sure they haven't. So I'm going to backtrack here a little bit.
Okay.
And we'll start again here at the front and talk about some of those things that we were talking about a minute ago. But first off, we're right underneath the generator.
Right underneath the generator. So Newmar installs this.
It's on a slide out. You can see that this cap actually opens up.
Correct.
And pulls to the outside, so you get full access from here to the generator. Now, a lot of people mistakenly think that Freightliner Custom Chassis supplies the generator. So when they have an issue or they've got a question about service intervals, they might call us at Freightliner Custom Chassis, and we'll answer their questions on it. But ultimately, if they will call the manufacturer, in this case Newmar, and ask them about the generator, they're actually the ones that supply that to each coach. So, anyway, we were discussing a little bit earlier about the independent front suspension, and that actually starts right. The steering wheel's up there. We got a gearbox right here, and from the gearbox we have the steering linkage that goes to the center of this suspension and axle right here. This is the ZF independent front suspension. So you can see this massive A-arm here, another one up there, and above that you're going to see the airbag. That's a very large airbag. That airbag actually has more air connected to it in a pink tank. Those pink tanks are actually in between the frame rails. You can't really even see them from underneath. But that gives you, the more air that you have to ride on, just like that taller tire, the better ride quality that you can have. And I just walked right by the Sax shocks. So you're going to see those golden Sax shocks. Again, parent company of Rolls-Royce for Sax. They're twin tube hydraulic shocks, and they don't fade with heat. So as you're going down the road and you're spending all day on the road, even in the desert, they're not going to fade with the heat. They dissipate the heat. That's what hydraulic shocks do. So these are those massive A-arms. Having this steering linkage go to the center of the axle means that no matter what you're doing going down the road, you're holding on that steering wheel, you hit a bump on one side or the other, it doesn't jar the steering wheel. That's one of the qualities that you find in an independent front suspension. That's why you're paying a little bit more. That's why Prevost uses this. That's why every major bus company around the world uses this ZF independent front suspension. So I don't know if you can see it from here, but I'm going to just kind of climb under here a little bit to point some stuff out to you. These brakes here are Bendix disc brakes. These disc brakes are monsters. They were actually developed and made for the trucking industry to carry 110,000 pound fuel tanker trucks. Now those fuel tanker trucks, when they need to stop, they got to stop a large load, right? And it's a moving load. So these brakes probably last about 6 to 8 months in that application. But for RVers, these brakes should last you over 250,000 miles.
And Joe, what benefits do you get with disc brakes over drum brakes?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And if you have a drum brake and over time they start to heat up going down the mountains, your most aggressive brake should be your front brake. So we're going to talk about the front brakes right now. This coach has a lot of extra brakes, so it has a 3-stage engine brake, these disc brakes up here. But drum brakes typically, if they did heat up, they would expand, and it would take a little bit further for reach for your pads to actually reach those. So disc brakes will shorten the actual stopping distance of your coach. And so we've done a lot of testing with that, and really it's just going to give you a better clamping. If you haven't driven a Class A diesel before or driven anything with air brakes before, you know, take your time with it. Get used to it before you get out on the road. Understand how it's going to work. It's really that because of this system right here and what we show you inside the cabin a little bit. I'll tell you, we're going to introduce some new stuff that probably a lot of people in the industry haven't seen a lot of, and that's Drive Tech and Road Watch. So definitely want to hang on for that. But that's going to give you the best, easiest driving vehicle on the planet, in my opinion, is this type of coach right here with this independent front suspension.
Perfect. It's a heavy duty looking steering knuckle up there.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine this axle can actually be rated up to 20,000 pounds. This one right here is rated for 19,000 pounds. And let's see what else you can see. If you look right up in there, you can see that the airbags are outboard mounted, and that gives you, again, just more stability, a better ride quality going down the road. Do you have any questions right here? You know what this is?
Well, that's a fuel tank.
Yeah.
150 gallon fuel tank on a Newmar Dutch Star 4369.
So you can go wherever you want to go, as long as you. One of the beauties about diesel coaches too is you can drive it all day long. So when it's time to go get lunch, you don't have to pull over and get fuel because you ran out of gas or fuel. You can pull over wherever you want, have your lunch, and get right back on the road instead of taking an hour at a fuel station.
Right. So is this all part of your frame as well, or is this Newmar stuff?
Yeah, some of the stuff that you see here is Newmar. This and the rails you see up here, this is Freightliner. If you look right up here, you can see this mounting here is all Freightliner, and our brackets. You'll see a lot of brackets on the RV. And that frame rail up there, you can't really see a lot of it, but it's a 9-inch frame rail.
Wow. So just to touch on a couple Newmar things while we're under here. We always talk about Newmar and being able to use it in the winter. 2 inches of insulation on the bottom of these. Right here is going to be your base for your exterior storage. You got 2 inches of insulation there. Coming all the way back, your underbelly is completely enclosed.
Let me touch on something right here real quick while we're here. Jacks. A lot of times people look under the coach and they say, if it's under the coach, it must be Freightliner. This is again another one of those items that we don't supply. We do supply a lot of the bracketry for them to make it easier for our manufacturers to put their jacks on. But this is supplied. And what type of jacks? Do you know the jack?
That's an equalizer system on this one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's head to the back.
Keep on coming back.
So we talked about this outside. We talked about the independent front suspension, and then we talked about strong, true, and robust foundation. And you can't see that from under here, so I'm glad we got to see that before.
Absolutely.
And now,
coming back to the rear axles here.
Back to here. This suspension here, I told you it was V-Ride, right? So V-Ride is, I'm going to point out all the parts of V-Ride first. These are the trailering arms, okay? This is the transverse beam that comes across. Up above here, if you can get your camera up in there, you see these blades here? How huge they are. Huge pieces of steel, one side to the other. That makes a V shape. That's why we call it V-Ride. Okay, those give us extra support and stability in that rumble going down the road. It gets transferred right into the corners of the frame rails and a cross member. So that frame rail and cross member, where it comes together, that's where those come to. So we talk about having stability on the top side of this bell housing here. That's where you get a lot of that stability. So some other manufacturers have come out and said, well, hey, we have V-Ride. You know, they don't have V-Ride. They can't say they have V-Ride. V-Ride is actually a patented system. And I want to show you a little bit about that patented system right now. So these two trailing arms coming back on a traditional truck or other manufacturers would be two separate. But what we've done is we've welded those together, okay? All the way down to the end where the transverse beam is. Now we have a patented process that actually crimps these around this transverse beam. Now you can see a weld there. That weld actually is there to protect the crimping process. But that essentially makes this solid piece from one side all the way around to the other side a solid U-shaped form that gives our customers that ride quality that they need. And why do they need this? Because these coaches are so heavy today. I mean, think about how many slide outs and tile and residential this and residential refrigerators and residential that have all this stuff in these coaches. It gets heavier and heavier over the years. We've had to change the design of the rear suspension. And this design right here this goes up to 24,000 pounds on a single rear axle. We're looking at like a 20,000 pound rear suspension here. And if you can imagine, the heaviest axle in the coach controls most of the weight of the coach. Controlling most of the weight like that actually means you're going to have a nice solid ride back here. But what if you had a strong, true, and robust foundation that went from the back all the way to the front? And now all that stability gets transferred to the driver. That's really one of the things that is really magical about V-Ride, married to some of the things that Newmar is doing for this particular coach. So we're really, you can kind of tell, I get really excited about this. I think it's actually, if I were ever going to be looking at a coach, and I got to my dream achiever point, and I will, I am going to have a coach with a V-Ride suspension. That'll be a non-negotiable. So I'm going to have to buy a newer coach. Back here we do use drum brakes all the way around. When you see a coach with dual wheels, so this is dual wheel, so you have a tire here and a tire there, that makes it a dual on both sides. You're gonna you see it, most coaches are gonna have drum brakes in the rear. When you're mountain driving, like you might be here in the Colorado area, you're going down the mountains, you want to make sure that you get on the brakes and you get off of the brakes and let them cool. You get on the brakes and bring the speed down, get off the brakes and let them cool. If you do that, these brakes right here should last you over 125,000 miles. So again, as an owner, you want level cost of ownership. Maybe you're at retirement or close to retirement and you have a level income coming in. You want to have a level cost of ownership, and that's what a Class A diesel will give you. You're gonna have these pop up, oh, I gotta change my brakes, there goes another $3,000. Nope, that's not gonna happen. So something that a lot of people really don't realize when it comes to servicing a Class A diesel.
One thing I do really love about this chassis is that they put drum brakes on that tag axle as well.
Yeah.
So extra stopping power when you're in the mountains. You never have too much stopping power. Oh, those are some big airbags up there too. Right,
yeah. So if we swing on around, you can see these large volumetric airbag. And what is a volumetric airbag? This bell housing right here holds the extra air. So whereas up front I talked to you about the airbags having ping tanks, which means the air tanks have a separate section of additional air to allow you to have, the more air that you have, the better cushion that you have. Well, we don't have ping tanks back here, but we have volumetric airbags. This essentially doesn't need a ping tank because there's air inside of this as well as inside of the bag that they use to help cushion the ride as you're going down the road. So thanks for pointing that out. And again, you have sack shocks back here as well. So when you hear us talking about V-Ride and independent front suspension, or this next one coming up, ultra steer, we do a lot of branding to show you that there's a lot of value in your coach. Matter of fact, on average, a third of the cost of the coach is the chassis. So understanding what we're doing today and what Transwest is providing the opportunity for me to do for you guys today, it's just a great opportunity. So Brian, what's ultra steer do?
Ultra Steer, well, a couple things. So that's your tag axle turns with you. Benefits to your tag axle turning with you is you get less tire scrubbing, a shorter turning radius, and I'm sure I'm missing something there.
I mean, those are the major benefits. So as you're going down the road at low speeds and you get into your campground or you're in town and you need to make a tight turn, those tires will actually rotate and turn up to 12 degrees, okay? Now 12 degrees is the max that tire would ever need to turn. We actually designed these to turn the maximum that they would need to at a 38-foot coach, which you won't find any 38-foot tags out there. You might find 40 with Newmar. I think they do some of those. But yeah, you want to eliminate tire scrub, and what tire scrub will do is it will actually create a notch on the outside edge of the tire, like a really deep notch. And when that happens, that just means your tire was scraped because it didn't turn. That means all tag axles want to turn. So and, you know, having a steerable tag axle means you're going to make a coach wheelbase effectively start here instead of here. So it allows you for a shorter wheelbase overall, and a tight turn up front with a tight turn in the rear means you can make a coach like this turn on a dime. Take it into a parking lot and you'll be amazed how tight it will turn. As a matter of fact, the next, you know, I know you do this already, but the next time you come, if you have interest, come in here and let them take you out in the parking lot and just take a tight circle. Or pull up near to a fence and then make the turn away from the fence. It's amazing.
Go drive it through the grocery store parking lot. We'll teach you how to drive them too.
Yeah. So you'll notice on Ultra Steer we use wide arms, again, for additional stability, and outboard mounted sack shocks. Now the competition, they have a steerable tag as well, but their shock is actually mounted inboard. Now an inboard mounted shock means that road noise has to travel all the way from this tire all the way inside the frame rails to where their shock is located. So again, more stability, pushing things to the outside. This is the kind of the ultimate in comfort and ride going down the road, having independent front suspension, V-Ride, and Ultra Steer. Now, even, you know, you want to know that your coach has Ultra Steer for sure. I'm going to back our camera guy up here just for a minute. And if you can, I'm going to shine a light right up in there and roll that around just a little bit, right? I want you to look right up in here. There you go. And you're going to see well, let's look at that medallion first. See that medallion there? That medallion is a quick align tool. So if you look between the skirting and the tires, you can look back in and you see that round medallion with a square hole in it. You know you have V-Ride for sure. Now if you look up just a little bit higher, we actually started putting a cutout on that actual spring hanger itself, so that you could see the words V-Ride on it, and know that you're getting V-Ride. So if your salesperson's not talking about it, ask them about it. They know about it, and they can tell you all about how when you pull out of a driveway, that coach isn't going to rock. And you're so used to that, right? So used to pulling out of your driveway and your coach is rocking, and you wait for it to settle down, and then you take off. Well, with V-Ride, you pull out of your driveway, it might rock once, maybe halfway back, and then you're at center. You pull from one freeway to another at 45 miles an hour, and you slow down in your coach today because your coach leans to the outside, and then you might tap your brakes, and then it's even worse. And with V-Ride, you can take the turn, it's going to hold the turn. Again, giving you just an amazing amount of confidence as you're going down the road. So let's keep on back here. We got, of course, an Allison transmission, 3000 Allison Motorhome transmission, and a Cummins. Now, we can talk a little bit about the warranty here while we're here. Allison warranty is 5 years.
200,000 mile.
Yeah, God bless you. You go that far, right? And this one is a 5 year, 100,000 mile on the Cummins. And just a little note, tip about the engine. If it's painted red, that was supplied by Cummins. If it's not painted red, then that's what Freightliner Custom Chassis dressed at the factory. So we do dress out the engines and transmissions and marry, obviously, all that stuff together at the factory. Again, huge volumetric airbags you can see up here. Those are just giant.
Just one other thing to point out here, Joe. Again, I mentioned it as we kind of walked in the shop here, but we are warranty authorized on both Cummins and Allison transmissions as well. So if you buy a coach from Transwest, you don't have to take it to another shop to have it worked on. Just bring it here, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
We do it all day, every day.
You know, it's funny, we have a lot of dealers around the country. They'll ask us, hey, can we sign up to be a Freightliner dealer? And we say, no, we have chassis experts at our dealerships all across the country. So, you know, I know that some of our other manufacturers in our industry that manufacture chassis, they do sign up then, but they're not chassis experts, you know. And this is what you just said is probably one of the most unique things about Transwest, is the ability to, from tires to the air conditioning on top of the coach, everything you can do right here at Transwest. That's amazing.
Absolutely. We have 4 locations. Every RV location we have has a truck center married to it or attached to it. So if you're anywhere in Colorado or Belton, Missouri, we can absolutely take care of both the Freightliner side of things as well as the Newmar side of things, or whatever branded coach you buy that is on a Freightliner chassis.
So you see some of our branding up here, right? You got Freightliner, Ultra Steer. Over here, you've got 450 horsepower. XCR. XC is a rear chassis, or rear engine chassis, and then the R is a raised rail. And then right back here is the hitch. And what's the tow rating for flat tow?
Well, this one's got a 15,000 pound towing capacity with a 1,500 pound vertical weight capacity. So the tongue weight of that trailer can be 1,500 pounds.
Nice.
So
this I've seen before.
7-pin connector there.
And this is brand new. This is what we call brake sync.
And this is from Freightliner, correct?
Yep. Freightliner has developed, you know, a lot of people want to have an air brake system added to their coach. And Freightliner had never approved a location to tie into it because there's a lot of liabilities for us in that. And you know, warranty issues and brake issues for our customers. So we didn't really, you know, we never authorized anybody to do that. But we did get a lot of feedback about it, and so we wanted to supply something that would work very, very well. So this air supply right here is more than just an air supply. It actually has its own separate small tank. There are 3 check valves in this system, so that if an airline were to break from a rock or 2x4 or anything like that going down the road, that the check valves would not affect the braking of the coach. So it's modulated for your tow vehicle. It's modulated as you press on your brakes. It's going to brake your vehicle. Okay, so you're buying one of those aftermarket. You don't have to do anything to your coach. It costs you a dime, and it is the best system in the industry. You want to look up more about it. It's called Brake Sync, all one word, and it's got a cover on it too for when you're not using it. Make sure it does stay, nice and clean for you. So we're really proud to add this feature to coaches, and I really like Newmar because usually when we bring something new out, they order it. They really like speccing a nice chassis.
And this, I mean, having it here and ready to go is a huge benefit. So if anyone who's ever made a towed vehicle before knows that is a significant cost, and not having to add anything to the motorhome side of it will reduce that quite a bit. And you guys put safety features in it, which everyone should be concerned about.
By the way, that system, if you do actually cut a line and you lose your air to your tow vehicle, it'll tell you on the screen in front of you in the coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that new OptiView screen.
Yeah.
Should we show them what OptiView is?
Oh, let's go inside the coach.
Let's go inside that one over there, and we'll look
really
at OptiView.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun one to do.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
All right.
I do a lot of ride and drives. You mind if I share with you some things that I do with the customers as we're doing ride and drives?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How about you just walk me through how you do a ride and drive?
I'll do that.
I'll play with the dash.
I'll do that. And I'm just going to ask our camera guy just to stay right here for a moment. When a Class A customer, when you want to do a ride and drive, here at Transwest, what I want you to do is follow these steps. It's really simple, but it's feet, seat, steering wheel, and mirrors. And so that's really how we like to get set up in a coach. I want to get you comfortable with where the pedals are, get your seat comfortable with where it's supposed to be, including the armrest, seat belt, and then we do the steering wheel. A lot of people like to get in and get their seat put in, and then they mess around with other stuff and they don't like where things are located. We find that if you do it in this way, that you're going to have a better experience going down the road. And I want to encourage you to keep your elbows down. Okay? So as you keep your elbows down as you're steering this coach, you won't be doing any of this by accident. Okay? We don't want any of that wobbling to go on. We'd like to have your elbows down and just relax. This coach, I guarantee you, is the easiest thing on the planet to drive. So while you are where you are, OptiView is what I was talking about here. That's our screen. I'll turn that on in a moment. But DriveTech is the steering wheel, the screen, the stocks. This right here, this particular coach has a lot of nice features on it that I want to share with you. And one of them is, obviously it has tilt and telescopic steering. That's all set up. But actually, let me just turn this on and show you OptiView now. We'll go ahead and get this started. Sorry for the initial noise there. Sometimes when you're starting a coach, you might have something like that happen. I know I have had it happen before on a trip where I couldn't get my my jack sensor to read, and so while we do have the jacks up, that sensor just took a moment to read. And that just kind of reminds me, when you have issues like that, you have a strong dealership like this that can support you in different ways. But also when it comes to the Freightliner chassis portion, we want you to call us at Freightliner Custom Chassis. We have a 1-800 helpline with factory technicians, and our factory technicians have been there for 20 years on average, and they're there 24/7 every day of the year. So we answer our own calls. They're at the factory. These are the guys that are sitting right next to the engineering department at our company. So how often can you do that? For the life of your coach. If you have warranty, if you don't have warranty, it doesn't matter to us. We're going to give you technical information and give you help on your chassis for the life of your coach. So this is OptiView, the screen up here, DriveTech. I'm just going to start right here with this stock. This stock here actually has my favorite feature is the engine brake. So engine brake, this one has a 3-stage, so you're going to see it pop up on the screen here. Might be able to see that. Medium and high. You're going to have 3 settings. Now, I don't have to actually take my hand off the wheel to operate that, and I know that in other coaches out there, if you want to use your engine brake, you got to take your hand off the wheel, your eyes off the road, and press the engine brake button. Not so. We want you to be safe. Matter of fact, I talked to you earlier about Mercedes-Benz being one of our companies that one of our portfolio of companies. We hired Mercedes-Benz to work with RVers to develop DriveTech. So everything that's on here was work with RVers to make sure that they could use it and they liked it, and so the user experience engineers did amazing work, and they still talk to RVers to this day at shows. So we're still developing new technology. So high, medium, low. You'll see that it's white when it's on, and it would turn green when it's activated. So if you left your engine brake on, you can notice that it is on, and that just move this here just for a second. We'll move that. There we go. Getting comfortable. So that's your engine brake, right? So you want to use that. I use it almost all the time in low, but you want to use that in the mountains. You do not want to use it when it's slippery or wet out. So turn it off. There's no analog braking system with an engine brake. remember, your engine brake is slowing you down at your drive wheels. So as your engine slows, it slows the transmission, your drive line, and it slows that drive axle. So that's your brake position, is the drive axle. Now, a little bit more about this stock. So we already saw that it does the engine brake. It also puts you in drive or in reverse. So we can do that as well. When you see tag dump comes up. When I put in reverse, it's going to dump the air out of the tag axle. So that, because in reverse, the tag axle actually stays straight. So we want it to stay straight, it doesn't have wheels to follow. Back into neutral. I can actually paddle shift. If I put it into drive, it's going to say D1, so it's in drive. Drive actually has 6 gears, and I can actually paddle this down and say, you know what, I want my top gear to stop at 3rd gear. I might be in, or 4th gear. I might be climbing a mountain and this thing decided to go into 5th gear too early. So in order to keep my speed up, I might just pop it down to 4th. Now when I say keep speed up, the higher the RPMs, that's where speed is faster, right? Horsepower is speed. So torque, now you can always keep your torque lower. You might actually slow down, but a little bit. But if your RPMs are at a low RPM and it doesn't catch the next gear down, you're actually going to save fuel. So going faster up the mountain isn't necessarily best for fuel, but you can work the engine either way.
Is there a benefit to being able to manually shift going down a hill in conjunction with that engine brake?
No, because an engine brake is a really good question. Because an engine brake, when I have it in drive and I have the engine brake on, it's automatically going to start searching for 2nd gear. So when it's searching for 2nd gear, it's downshifting as fast as it can already.
And that's all just the computer downshifting
right,
it? Okay.
Right. If you were in like an automobile or something that didn't have an engine brake, downshifting, yeah, it would help you slow down. But this is already trying to gear you down to keep your RPMs high and to slow you down more quickly. So, yeah, but that's exactly how it works, though. So doing what you said is exactly how it works. Also, if you were in that mode and you had decided to shift it and you wanted to go back to drive mode, you can just tap the outside of this stock over here and that'll take you back to drive mode, or you can paddle shift it right back up to drive. Either way. I've been hitting the brakes quite a bit, so it's filling the air back up, which reminds me, oh no, I didn't set my parking brakes out. I left it in gear. So you want to close the door, right? One of the other items that I really like to talk about too is that this has an economy mode on it. You know, the older coaches had a shifting paddle off to the side, and you press drive, or you see this mode button. The customer would say, press the mode button, the light comes on. Press the mode button, the light goes off. And they didn't know what the mode button was. So now I'm going to tell you, the M here on the outside of this stock, it's the mode button. So if I hold down on it, all right, for just a couple seconds, it says economy. The mode button with light on meant economy, but most people never knew it. All that means is it's going to shift in earlier RPMs. So shifting a couple hundred RPMs earlier gives you better fuel economy. So that's economy mode. If you hold down on that mode button again, it takes you back to performance. And again, that's the normal drive. That's how, when you get in your coach, you start driving, it's always in performance mode. Moving on to the stock over here, this is pretty simple stuff, right? It's all about your windshield wipers, your lights, your washer fluid, and your turn signal. So all that, you can bump it or you can pull it down into place. It just depends how you want to use it. But it's going to work very, very automotive. If you were in the older coaches, you would have to take your hands off the wheel to turn the turn signal, because the turn signal was clear down here. And so again, I always like to say it's hands on, heads up, safety first. And that's really what drive tech is all about. On the steering wheel itself, over here we have all the cruise control buttons, as well as turning the volume off to your radio. And then you have over here interrupter lights. So your ICC lights that are around the coach, somebody passes you or you let someone in or they let you in, you want to say thank you, you can hit the interrupter lights. Your phone, you can actually hook your phone up to OptiView and the radio system and answer the phone from your steering wheel without having to, again, reach somewhere to answer your phone. That'll come through the speakers of the radio, and the radio and phone volume is right here on the steering wheel as well. So you can manually do that. When someone calls you, it shows up on the middle of your screen. That's one of the great things I really like about this screen itself, and how, you know, we've molded brake sync, we've molded anything that we can bring into the screen, because safety matters. You know, when you're going down the road and a light or a buzzer goes off in your coach, you want to know what it is. You look one place first, and that's always to the screen in front of you. So if there are other peripherals that you have to look at for a buzzer, you know, then that's a secondary glance, and by then it can be too late. So we really like bringing as much as we can into the dash itself. Now I want to dig into this menu item here a little bit. Can you see that okay? Everybody good? And bring this down a little bit. All right. So this is the normal screen that you, when you come into the coach. If you want to see gauges, there is actually a button for the gauges. And if I press that, the gauges pop right up. So it looks like a couple of file folders on the I'm going to show this right here real quick. So when I'm referencing the file folders, that's what I'm talking about. That'll bring up the gauges. Or the home screen, that'll take you right back to the main menu. Always takes you back. So if you ever get lost, you figure, well, how did I get to where I am? Just hit the home screen and it'll take you back here. I can also get into gauges from pressing OK. Just scroll into it and pressing OK. Back to home screen, takes me back here. Trip, can give you the time for that trip, the fuel that you use, the average fuel economy, all of that stuff's going to be in there. Now right now, you know, we're sitting here at the dealership idling the coach, so not all the numbers that are up there that we need to have in there to show you today, but I can also go back down into gauges, and you can select whatever 3 gauges that you want to be here. So for example, if you decided you didn't want to have RPMs, you could just scroll over to RPMs by hitting the down arrow until it gets there. Press OK, it'll flash. Once it flashes, press the down arrow some more, and you can change that to really whatever you want. So if you want the turbo, there's the turbo, and we'll press OK, and it keeps it there. When you turn off your coach, you turn it back on. These are the 3 that are going to be there the next time you hit gauges. Okay, you can scroll through all your gauges by, again, hitting the pages button or the file button over here. Just continue to click that, and it will scroll through them. You can see them going from right to left. So that's, and again, whatever you leave it on, that's where it's going to be the next time you turn on the coach. Now I can hit the back arrow button, and that'll take me back to where I was at gauges. Go down to fuel economy, check the fuel economy, tire pressure. We offer a tire pressure monitoring system with our OptiView, and so part of this system, this isn't come on every coach. Again, this is something that was ordered by Newmar for this specific coach. We don't just tell you the tire pressure, we tell you the tire temperature. We know a tire is going to fail when it gets really hot, it starts to overheat. So if we can eliminate you having a blown tire because that tire got way out of whack in tire pressure and tire temperature, then we just saved you from, you know, you could pull over, maybe slow down and limp in somewhere before you have catastrophic failure on your tires. But we don't just stop there. We actually, if you want to add it to your tow vehicle, you can actually put the system onto your tow vehicle as well. You do have to break down the tires. You buy those here at Transwest, the sensors that go inside, but you'd break down those automotive tires, put the sensors inside, and put the tire back on. But then you know your whole system is integrated right here into your.
So just to be clear, we can actually display the towed vehicle's tire pressure on the dash as well.
Yeah. So all you would do if you've got your towed set up, you would just arrow down, and then it would show your towed vehicle instead of your coach.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we didn't think of everything, but we're trying.
You're pretty close.
So I mentioned this earlier, kind of teased it earlier on in the video, that hang around. We're talking about drive tech, and also we want to talk to you about Road Watch. And this is one of those kind of hidden features, right? There's no branding anywhere, and unless you really take the time to allow your salesperson to dig into this stuff, you might miss some really big key features that you're already buying on your luxury car that you own today. So, and it doesn't have to be a luxury car to have some of these features, but Road Watch has automatic traction control, electronic stability control, roll stability support. It has adaptive cruise control and collision mitigation. Those are the main features of what Road Watch has to offer. And so this allows you to set that up right here with your cruise control. So your collision mitigation, it's always active. But your cruise control, your adaptive cruise control, you can actually turn that on, and you can set it to different distances. Now those distances are actually based on time. So around 3.6 seconds is the longest one, and once you've selected that and you get into cruise control, and I'm not sure I can bring that up on the screen or not. That's trying to put me, there we go. Let's see here, one more try. No, I have to be
Actually rolling.
Yeah. So in order to put that into work, what's going to happen though is there's going to be a blue line come across here, and that blue line is your setting. Okay, so that would tell you that, and if there's no car in front of you, it'll look almost like it does right now. And if there were a car in front of you, then the car would show up way out ahead. If the car were too close, it would show you it's too close. And the closer it gets to you, actually it's going to tell you how many seconds away from you it is. It's going to tell you what speed that vehicle is going. And so you can see the speed of that vehicle dropping, if it's going slower or if it's going faster or going faster. And also going to tell you how many feet behind that vehicle you are. So we'll give you all the key indicators that you need as you're going down the road. You can just glance at it and see exactly what you need to stay safe. So we're really proud of these features, and really excited for you as a dream achiever owner to get your hands on them. So I'm going to back out of this a little bit, and then down to vehicle configuration. Like I said before, you could set up Bluetooth. You can also, if you want to take a trip into Canada, you can change the units, and then also you can set the dash brightness. Now, dash brightness, as you want to increase or decrease, you can only do that if your lights are on. So if you want to see where you are with that, then we can make it dim down really dark, or we can make it come up really bright. And again, all that's right here on your steering wheel as you're going down the road. Whatever your last setting was, that's what it's going to be the next time you turn your lights on. Let me just back up here again. Bluetooth you can set up, standard units, steering effort. Maybe you saw on the front of the coach that sign that said, what did it say?
Comfort drive steering.
Comfort drive steering. What can you tell me about comfort drive steering?
Another feature put on by Newmar. Essentially, it does a couple different things. My favorite thing is it adjusts how much torque it takes your hand to turn the steering wheel. So if we turn it up, so right here it says steering effort. So if we scroll it down to less effort, after it rolls around for a little bit, Joe would actually be able to move that steering wheel with one hand or one finger, spin it all the way around.
Actually,
You can go up.
Yeah.
Might have to roll a little bit.
Yeah.
But another really cool thing that it does is it always.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to roll first so it can actually adapt. But it will always take that steering wheel back to true center. So if you're driving along and you're in the campground, you spin it all the way around for a hard right turn. Once you let it go, it's just going to go back to center, so that you don't have to fight it and get it back there. Other thing that it does is it compensates for crosswinds. So if you're driving in a big 10 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour crosswind coming at you from the left, and it feels you holding the steering wheel to the right, it will actually compensate for you so that you don't have to white knuckle and hold on as tight as you can. the biggest thing that I see it does is the tension that you get in your shoulders after a long day of driving, and I've driven these coaches long distances. It really does help mitigate that. Just give you a nice, comfortable ride, no matter the conditions, all the time.
That's it, and all of that's because of an electric steer assist right here in the steering column itself. So,
and one thing that you do need to know about that comfort drive steering is if it were to go out, if that electric assist would go out, it would just go back to driving like a normal Class A. It does not affect the power steering system at all. Just a completely independent system.
That's right. And I can tell you from having driven a coach that didn't have it all the way across the country this past summer, that would have been a nice feature to have. So you plan on taking some long trips, and at this level of coach, well, I shouldn't say that. I think all Newmars have this?
All Newmar diesels have it.
Okay.
All diesel pushers, I should say.
You got it. Okay. So I'm going to back up here again, and we also have a couple other things, diagnostics that you can dig into. Now, you could see faults if it had some faults, and we've got a couple that popped up here. And then you can also see internal diagnostics, which is pretty cool because you can actually check your lights, right? Like if I wanted to check all my lights right now, I turn my turn signal on. It says my turn signals are working, on and off. It says that my headlamps are working. Yep, they're on. So you can actually check. I put my service brakes on. Guess what? It says they work. Okay, I can check my lights right here from the driver's seat without having to go around the coach, which I think is a super nice feature. There's a lot of other information that's in here as well, and so you get in one of these coaches, you want to check them out. It's just a really a nice automotive feeling system, maybe even better. So and then the last thing on the screen here is maybe you want to turn it off. You can just have that area blank down there and just have your gauges showing up there on the screen. So anyway, and that's fairly detailed information about road watch, about drive tech, and all of the things that we're trying to do to bring safety and comfort, and really allowing anyone to sit down at this seat and get comfortable and feel like they can drive it easily. I know it can be intimidating, really, to come out to one of these large coaches and think, oh, I could never drive one of those. I want to challenge you. Try it. It might be the easiest thing you've ever driven in your life.
It'll definitely be the most fun thing you've ever driven in your life.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have any other questions you want to that you have for me?
No, I think you covered everything pretty significantly. I mean, I don't really have too much else that I need to ask. I think we can pretty much call it a day at that.
Yeah. Well, again, I really appreciate you having me out here, allowing me to spend some time with your customers, and having the special opportunity to show them so much more underneath the coach. And if you're interested, if you're curious, if you have an inkling that this might be something that you want to do, I would encourage you to come out here to the dealership and meet the team. This is, again, one of the, as you can tell, they put a coach up for me to share with you guys today. This is one of those dealers that kind of bends over backwards for their customers. They do that on the Freightliner side, they do that on the RV side, and it's just a really good marriage here, and we appreciate you guys as a dealer.
And thank you, Joe. So, well, that pretty much wraps up our walkthrough today of, well, it wasn't really a walkthrough of a coach, but just looking at the Freightliner side of things for the Freightliner custom chassis. Again, I'm Brian Moritz with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. If you have any other questions about Freightliner chassis, feel free to give me a call. One more big thanks to Joe for walking through this all with me, and we'll see you guys next time.